So as we're passing into the second room of the museum, here's James again.
As you can see, this room is loaded with ancestral artifacts from dresses here that would belong to Molly Spotted Elk, who was a star, filmed a star in 1932, and went on to France and did dancing over there. But then we have a collection of snowshoes, root clubs. A lot of our stuff are in the cases. Family groupings, just stuff that comes together and just came to the museum. And the root clubs extend on, in this case, to where we have some that have been returned to us, and then we have part of a large collection of stone artifacts from the Nicotawas area, which is towards the Mount Katahdin. And then we have more root clubs, stuff on Louis Sockalexis, Andrew Sockalexis, a couple Penobscot athletes that did real well for themselves. And there's more with that story behind, which you will find when you get here. We also have a veterans case, which promotes our military service since the Revolutionary War on, serving dutifully. Even during World War II, we had almost 100% of age male population going to the armed services. From clothing to a 200-year-old birch bark canoe that we got from a museum in Augusta called Fort Western. They gave it to us with a few stipulations, but it ended up, one of the stipulations was if we ever found out what family or tribe it belonged to, that we would return it to them. But to make a long story short, found information, found the canoe had come home. The Penobscot Maine canoe. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. To a traditional fishing spear model. We got a clan wheel system over here. Baskets and our type of headdress in the showcase. Our headdress is more upright, more so than the plain style, which is flowing back. We had that's an incomplete clan wheel. There's only 9 that is shown on there. We originally had 23 different family clans, but now we're down to 21. A couple families have disappeared or vanished. And then you go on to the showcases of the headdresses and things that belong to tribal members. Like that headdress belongs to a tribal member, but I have a question as to where it came from. It might have come from out west when they started taking the natives off the reservations and capturing all their regalia and stuff and just shipping it eastward to sell.
Yeah, I think this is a Sioux. This is a Sioux symbol meaning the 4 winds.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, used elsewhere in the world and history.
Well, but it's used throughout different cultures.
Yeah, you see it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. From more stone artifacts to history of the school, beadwork, both Penobscot and other tribes, not sure, to our ancestral TV set.
And this would be a seed bead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And birch bark. Birch bark was a very essential part of our culture. It provided transportation, housing, medical stuff, mats, cups, bowls, storage containers. It was a very versatile material. And we also do the quilt work on the birch bark. And a nice painting there, nice sculpture, just many different items made by different tribal members, providing their spirit to it. So to a lot of people, it's just a thing, but to me, most of these objects are sacred because it has a part of each artist within it.
Now this is near Bangor, Maine, and you had mentioned the Micmacs, which would be further north of here.
Yeah. Well, there are 4 surviving tribes left in the state of Maine: the Penobscot, the Passamaquoddy, the Micmac, and the Maliseet. There were other tribes in western Maine around the Kennebec and Saco rivers who no longer exist to this day. A lot of them got wiped out from the different diseases and the wars, and some took off to Canada, blended in with the tribes up there. Some homesteaded in different individual lots here and there, wherever they could find shelter. And that's what's left of the Western Abenaki from the point of view of Maine. But there's probably still some out there somewhere, but I don't know. Upper Vermont and Swanton, there's a group of them that have gathered together and have become recognized by the state as a state tribe. But to achieve federal recognition, I don't think they'll ever get it, because to get federal recognition, you have to show that you were a political unit from before European contact on.
Yep.
And so when these people were running for their lives, their villages, their tribes just broke apart, and whatever remnants were left came together after a much longer time.
Right. And as I visit the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., in the Smithsonian for the American History, in the basement, in the far corner, they had a map of this hemisphere. And one of the statistics that they did state was that from the recorded Viking visits to present day, about 75% of the people died from European diseases introduced to the culture, which just didn't have any protection.
Right. Exactly.
So sad, the number of nations alone that just were wiped out. Well, let's take a look at the gift shop if we have time.
Sure.
And we come into the gift shop here in the museum. And as you can see, information.
Yeah, we have like early contact information here to your left, well, to your right as you come in. Talks about some of the early exploration routes, some of the earlier key people at those times, from Old John Neptune, a relative of mine, and to Molly Molasses, a relative of mine. Madaka Wando, his daughter, who married Baron de Castine, and then Champlain, and then they talk about the Norwich Walk and the massacre that went on there. But there's history everywhere. We have a library, which is mostly my books that I've gathered, and it is sort of a gift shop, but it's also, we still got history in here too.
Here's some of his flutes.
Yeah, that's some of my flutes. These are the ones with the Penobscot designs.
Oh, yes, that you were talking about.
Yeah, floral designs, cross hatchings, animal, turtles. Got to put the turtle in there.
And these are painted on.
I call them shelf mushrooms. They used to grow on elm trees, but when the Dutch elm disease swept through, it killed all the elm trees. So these are the last two that I'll probably ever collect and paint on, because these two are mine, besides the other ones in the other room. And then we have some of the books for sale that can be gotten either from here or from the Kachimali Trading Post store from the Penobscot Nation Historical Cultural Department.
Here's a map of Indian Island, and it's sizable. But they also talked about having over 200 islands all the way up the river. And like you were saying about the headdress, their headdress was more straight up and down. The Iroquois was single feathers. Of the Six Nations, you had 1, 2, or 3 feathers, either up, down, or tilted down.
Some of my shirt designs over there. Some of my, I don't know if you can get them, just more of my paintings in there. Another one of my paintings here, there's one in the bathroom. But this is primarily it. This is probably the smallest museum I've ever known.
It's the packed-in museum.
It's jam-packed, but we still keep getting stuff in. We have a collection of stone artifacts here that we got from, I believe, the Colorado Museum, State Museum. Some people from Old Town moved down there, and they donated them to the museum down there, and they contacted us and asked if we wanted them back. Send me photographs. I said, yeah, we'd be pleased to take those back. And so they ship them to us free of charge.
And 1,000 years ago, the trade routes that were established from South America all the way through North America were intense. I mean,
all over the place. I mean, we could get up to the St. Lawrence waterway, seaway, and we could get up to the St. John too, and get up in that area.
Yeah, and you people had cotton way up here, which doesn't grow here, but you had cotton articles and cypress articles and stuff that was traded back and forth.
Yeah, and we did start working in copper for a while too, because there are copper artifacts that are found within grave sites.
I found a Spanish soldier's helmet from South America, way up in Canada, and it was traded, forever ago.
Right.
Just from the trade routes. Yeah. John, I can't thank you enough, and I encourage everyone to visit this museum.
And then really, if you really want to get something from me, you can call me by my name, James.
Oh.
Instead of John, so.
Yeah, I attempt to screw up as little as possible, but that's not always.
Okay. That's all right.
They also know him as the firekeeper.
I just said John Neptune over there, so caught in your head.
No, I'm getting old and senile, and I rarely remember what I had for breakfast.
But I've been here for the last 18 years, and I figure I'll be here for the next 20 or 30 years.
Well, James,
hopefully sometime we'll get a much bigger museum where we'll be able to petition some of the bigger museums out there and get some of our stuff back so that we can teach our children here to be proud of who they are and what their people have done and what they have gone through the years of these newcomers.
James, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate
Anytime.
it.